to work with very short sounds. I have some pieces that but my tendency is to take sounds and to stretch them in time. That's the idea, because it's very important for me to be inside the sound, and it's my proposal to anybody who's listening, that these sounds should be opened enough for any ear to go inside them. So that's one of the major ideas. I normally work, especially in these studio pieces, I normally work with a very simple idea. Sometimes it's just one idea. Here, the idea is to work with paper. I've been doing this for many years now, and I also play live. Obviously, it's very different because I just have two hands. So in my work, any sound is related to a gesture, and if I have two hands, so then I can do more than two sounds. But sometimes, especially tonight when I'm playing live, I have other devices, so it's not also strict all the time. But I like to work with simple ideas. I like to work with one idea, or maybe two as a maximum, for a specific work. So in this case it was working with paper, with lots of other rules, which were not to use electronics, not to use manipulation, not to distort the sounds, not to change them. And most of the time it's what I do. I work with sounds which are as they are, so no processing, no change, because I find that processing a sound is creating a new sound. So for me it makes no sense. If I already have a sound and it is how it is, I don't need to process it, because for me it's another sound, so it's not the same sound anymore. So in a way I would be losing what I've been looking for. So the thing is to stop before the next step, which would be to put, I don't know what kind of effect. So the sound is what it is, and it doesn't have to be changed. It's very important for me, and it's very important because it's related to this idea of simplicity, because simplicity in fact is not simple. It's like an oxymoron in a way, but or almost a tautology, you know, to say simplicity is simple, which it's funny because its own definition, it's like gives a nonsense to the word, because in fact it's not. It's very complicated to be simple in fact, and nowadays more and more, because we have more tools, we have more means. So how can we use the minimum of tools? Not because we don't have access to them. It's not the idea. It's just that personally I'm very bad in computering. I'm very bad in new medias, and I'm not interested in that way for me, for my work, because I feel much more comfortable doing these simple things, which turn out to be in fact quite complicated, because it's more difficult to add, it's more difficult to rest than to add, because it's also a question of culture, our cultures, because well, our cultures are very similar. They are different, obviously, but in that sense they are very, very similar, because the tendency is to add all the time, and it's almost a virtue when you are able to rest. I'm the only one to speak. If you have any questions, they're welcome. Okay. I don't know. In fact, if you have any questions, or
I have one.
Yes.
You say that you don't use any plugins, anything, but you need to use normalize or compression to to create the sound. It also do.
Yeah, but it affects. Well, in fact, all my pieces are not masterized. No, this was not masterized. I only use mastering when I'm working with somebody else. Then I'm not going to impose what I think. So sometimes it's masterized because the other things that it's better and it sounds better. I don't really agree with that idea. So what you've heard here is that the sound as it is, no mastering. Of course, I have to to be very careful not to distort. That's why I thought it was distorting at a certain moment. That's why I changed the volume, but no. But this is very different, I think, because I use computer, of course. I use a computer to compose, to make sounds, but it's not the same intention. It's not the same intention because you're not creating a real sound. You're not affecting the sound in the same way when you're doing that. You can, and I have a piece. I'll play later. I have a piece which was done just with effects, just to break these rules that we are imposing ourselves, because sometimes it's interesting to do that, because rules are made to be broken, and the idea is that, in fact, that also I respect, but not totally, of course. And there's a piece that I will play later, which is I can play it now if you want. Yeah, we could do that. It's done with it's my voice, which was recorded during a performance, and all the sounds are made with three effects. So that was the other side of the idea. Let's work with effects, but to produce sounds that come from the same sound. So once again, there is a kind of rule, kind of idea, which is very simple. I have one sound, and I'm going to create all the sounds of the piece with this single sound. So all the sounds you hear are made from the sound of my voice, and the effects were very simple. Once again, I chose the effects, the most simple effects. It's a reverb, so it's not a big deal. A reverb, equalization, so this can be a little bit more work, and distortion. That's it. And pitch. Okay, 4. I forgot, because it's an old piece. So I just use these 4 effects, and it's the combination of these 4 effects that creates the piece. And in fact, you have thousands of possibilities, because one sound can be processed in 4 ways. So in a way you're creating, but once again with this idea, with this very clear idea, that all the sounds are made with one single sound, that you will listen at the beginning. It's not the beginning of the piece, because I didn't want it to be